Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and a new kind of video. Today we are doing a tier list video of the 2022 spring training hats. And we have a couple of guests today. We have my buddy Justin. Say what's up, Justin.
What's up? What's happening, guys?
And Jake.
Hey guys, what's up?
And we're going to go through and we're going to rank the spring training hats because we're bored and there's no baseball on. Shout out the owners and Max Scherzer's Porsche. All right. So the rules for this are going to be real simple. We're going to go through team by team. We're going to go in like snake draft order. So we'll go Justin first, then me, then Jake, and we'll just continue on that through the rest of the video. And so the person that starts with a hat gets to recommend it for either A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, or delete this, as well as the best. We can only have one the best. But say Justin ranks a hat in B tier and me and Jake both think it should be an A. We'll bump it up to A. If Justin ranks one in A that me and Jake both think should be in D or lower or whatever, we'll decide on a tier. So this is kind of a collective thing between all of us. Justin's YouTube and Instagram and social media and all that will be in the description, as is mine. Jake is Amish, so he doesn't have any of it. All right, Justin, why don't you start us off with the Los Angeles Angels?
The Los Angeles Angels. Okay, so I like this hat, but it doesn't do a lot for me. I think if it were a logo that kind of popped off the hat a little bit, it would rank a little higher to me. But the fact that it's a red cap with the red A, and it doesn't really stand out all that much, it's definitely not a D tier or a delete this. But I think it's in that happy medium between a B tier and a C tier. But because it does nothing to me, I'm going to put it at the top of my C tier.
I honestly, I think it's a D tier. I don't like it at all. It's not the worst. It's not like a delete this hat, but it is not good.
Yeah, it was in my delete this category because it's really not good.
It's like, it just like from afar, besides like the little patch on the side, you know, like the Cactus League patch there, it's completely red. Like you can't figure out what it is from afar.
Yeah, I mean, I think the red makes it pop just a tad bit, but again, it doesn't pop enough for it to be a recognizable hat. And so for me, does nothing for me, but it also doesn't make me throw up like some of the other hats we'll see later. So for me, I'm fine with that being anywhere between a B or a D.
I'm gonna say D.
Yeah, D works for me. Yeah.
All right, look at us. One down, 29 to go. All right, next hat up will be me with Oakland Athletics. I think that the yellow piping outside of the A's here puts this a little bit above the Angels one because it pops out a little bit more in my opinion. And I think I prefer the green to the red, but it is still not an incredible hat. I don't think it's one of the best, but I think it's pretty solid. I would put this one in probably B tier. Maybe I could be talked into A. Like it's good. It's not incredible in my opinion.
I had it in my B tier as well because it pops off it's different shades of green. For spring training hats, I kind of like stuff that's not normal that they're going to wear during the regular season. So that's why I kind of put it in my B tier since it's kind of a little flashy out there for spring training. I like green and yellow.
Yeah, I would agree with it being in B tier. At first, I was debating whether or not it'd be an A tier hat or a B tier hat, but I think a lot of it was the fact that it's the only truly green hat that we see here. And again, it is different. Yeah, the Oakland Athletics have a green hat that they usually wear, but their logo pops differently. But that yellow piping around the A, I really like it. So I could be an A, but I think there's other hats that deserve to be an A tier. So this is a solid B for me.
The Astros. So after fighting my desire to rank them terribly because, well, they're the Astros, I put them in my B tier, based kind of along the lines of the Athletics as well. Like the logo pops off the dark background, and I kind of like the star background to it. On the same token, I'm not a big dark hat person, so it kind of rotated between C and B for me, and I just ended up with it in B since it's since it's something that they kind of wouldn't wear during the regular season, I don't think.
I think this one, the orange circle and like the star and the H pops really well. But yeah, the dark.
I mean, for me, I agree with everything you're saying. However, I think this is an A tier hat for me, regardless of the fact that I don't like the Astros. We beat them in the World Series. Go Bravos! But I do think that orange pops off the black hat very, very well. It catches my eye when I look at all 30 of these hats. There's another one that catches my eye a little bit more, and this is why we'll put this one in the best, as you'll see later. But the only thing that would push it into the best tier for me is if it was a truly navy blue hat, because again, black isn't one of their colors, and that may be like a really, really dark navy that's pushing their color codes a little bit. But I think if it was truly the Houston Astros navy blue with that orange logo popping the way that it is, that would be the best hat for me.
What, B maybe, I guess, would be the average of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, B works.
Okay. Better or worse than Oakland? Probably.
I would say better than Oakland.
I would.
Yeah, I can get behind that, I guess.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, better not by much, but like a slight edge better.
Okay, it's going to be worse because y'all see in the video, tier list is literally not letting me put it ahead. So it's going to be worse than Oakland. All right, Justin, hit us with the Braves.
So I'm going to try to be as unbiased as I possibly can here. Which means I'm going to be as biased as possible. I think this is an amazing hat. I would love to have this hat in my hat collection. And the fact that the spring training hats this year are more kind of trucker-ish style hats makes me feel like I'm going to buy this as soon as it becomes available. I will say it is not under the best. I love how the red piping pops on the Braves A. I love how it truly is a Braves navy blue that you see on the uniforms. Again, it is a darker navy, but the Braves have kind of shifted to that darker navy in their color schemes. I think this really pops. It's simplistic, kind of same color A as the hat, and then the red piping just makes it pop for me. So this is a very similar to Houston, A tier for me.
Yeah, no, not A tier. For me, it kind of fell into it. It was in my C category, but not because like it's a terrible hat, but just because it's kind of just blah to me. Like it's too kind of traditional-ish. Like I think it's a B and a C hat. Like it pops good. I like the red pop on it, but it's just kind of goes back to my I will say not liking dark hats, but that's really not going to matter when I get to my A and best tier. But it's just kind of a little true like traditional-ish for me for spring training.
Okay, side note, what do we think about just all of these being trucker hats? Positive, negative? I kind of don't like it.
Yeah, in terms of a baseball hat, like for baseball players to wear, I don't like it. I think it needs to be your more normal like baseball cap material. But in terms of a fan buying it, I personally love it because I love trucker hats.
Yeah, I think it's Brett Gardner might want to watch out this spring training because Megamind is going to have a tan. But I think, honestly, I would like it more if it was like an actual trucker hat and not a fitted trucker hat. Yeah. Now, I say that I wouldn't be able to buy one because of my massive head. So I'm kind of happy that it's not. But at the same token, I'd rather it be like a real trucker hat.
We're in B, I guess. Felt like.
Yeah.
Where we landed on that. I'm up here with the Brewers, the Fighting Ryan Bronze. This one's interesting to me because it's more navy than the other two navy hats we've seen. It's a little bit brighter, which I think helps. I kind of like the logo on the front of it. I would have rather them gone to like this look again, which I know they've overdone, but like the royal blue and gold, I think is their best combo. I have this at the very low end of A.
I had it in my A tier as well. I like the blue color on it. I kind of like navy and just blue in general. And I like how they have the pretty much baseball seams with what I guess is like wheat.
Yeah, for me, it's in the A tier for sure. Same reasons why the Braves is in the A tier for me, and it's that kind of perfect level of simplistic, but it's also it pops enough to make it look modern. So A tier.
All right. Who's Jake? We have too many J's on here. We need to diversify the first names next episode. All right, Jake, you have the St. Louis Cardinals.
All right. Yeah, delete this, burn it, put it in the trash bin, put this on a boat out to sea to never be seen from again. I can't get behind this hat at all. It's just too much red.
That's
Uh,
that's not even my problem. My problem is like it kind of makes it look like the bird is like trying to show you its anal hole.
yeah, so I don't I think I could maybe if the logo was a different color and popped, like I'd be interested to see how it looked then, but it's just kind of like not a great logo in general. And it kind of almost looks like I mean, either it's trying to twerk for me or it's trying to like give me a stink eye. Not really sure what's the case there. This is like my number one. Delete this. This was the first hat I ranked. I was like, nope, can't do it.
So I put this in the D tier, not necessarily delete this. And I put this in the D tier for the same reason why I put another team that we'll see later in the D tier, but the same reason why I put the Angels in the C tier. So the St. Louis Cardinals logo, I'm actually a little bit more of a fan of the logo because it is different, not necessarily because I like the logo, but it is something different. Something you wouldn't see in the regular season. So I have to give them props for that. Yeah, so I do feel like it's way too much red, similar to the Angels hat. And so if the hat base was a different color and you kept the red bird, then maybe this is a B tier, maybe even pushing A tier, depending on what color you used as the base.
I had this under delete this because the logo. I think if they had done, I think it would have gotten bailed maybe a little bit had they done like a navy blue like hat and kept the red
Yeah.
brim. But
Yeah.
the logo is just, I mean, it's real bad. uh, Justin, you're up here with the Cubs.
I actually like this hat, but I don't like it as much as some of the other ones, like the Astros or the Braves or the Brewers. I like how the logo matches the hat, but the red makes the logo pop and stand out. But I've seen that logo a little too much by the Cubs, and the red doesn't pop as well as like the yellow does on the Brewers or even the red does on the Braves. So it's a B tier hat for me.
I like the logo in the sense that they're not going to put that on a hat in the regular season, I don't think, or I don't think they have already. But the blue background of the logo kind of being too close to the blue of the hat is kind of making it iffy for me, but it's a solid B tier in my opinion.
The picture that I pulled from New Era, which is where all these pictures that the video is seeing are from, and that are on the tier list thing. The logo's like really shiny. It looks like, you
Yeah,
know, in DD when you like make a hat and like the logo's metallic.
Yeah, you can select the metallic thing.
It almost looks like that. I had this as like a C tier.
I almost wonder how it would look is if on the logo itself you just flipped where the colors were. So if the red was the blue and the blue was the red,
yes.
I wonder what
That
that would do to it.
that would probably, I mean, again, we would have to see it, but that would probably push it up into the best tier with me because that's exactly what Houston did.
I almost wonder if they had just done like a white C even, or like the ring outside been white.
I'm comfortable with it in a B tier, honestly. I, mean,
Yeah,
I don't think
I'm good
it's
with B.
I don't think it's C, but yeah,
So that's me. I'm up with Arizona. I actually kind of like this hat. We've kind of pooped on too much red and too much of like the same color on other hats. I think just because this is like a deeper red, almost like a burgundy color, it kind of works for me. The burgundy and like the tan outline, I guess you would call that, or I guess like the desert sand colored outline of the logo.
Hmm.
I kind of like this. I have this as like an A tier.
Okay, well, I would disagree only in tier. I would put this in a B tier. I've gone anywhere from putting this in A tier to D tier. But I think what puts it in the B tier for me is the fact that this hat could be so much better if the actual Serpiente was like their kind of gray color they've got or their black color. I still think it looks good with the double red because the sandy kind of tan color does make it pop a little bit.
For me, I don't know. I sitting here listening to it, I think it changes my ranking, but I was flipping between C and D a lot for this one, just because of the Reds. We've talked about the Reds so far, but it wasn't with the rest of them because it's kind of that deeper red. I almost wonder how it would look is if like one of the three portions, so either the bill, the front, or the mesh, was that like tan desert color. I wonder what that would do to it. I
could see that.
Like talking through it, I don't know that it would make it better, but I don't hate the hat. Like I think realistically, like if I was in store looking at hats and was buying a couple of them, I think I would probably think about picking this one up. There's something missing about it, and I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, so idea here. What if they kept the same red logo, but they use that kind of desert sand color for the entire hat?
Maybe if you use the tan for the actual hat, but you keep the red for the bill, I think that would look better than the all tan. I don't know. Like it's something like it's almost there for me. Like it's almost to being one of my top hats just because I like the logo. And I like that. I like that red specifically instead of the I don't know, university red, bright, gorge your eyes red that a lot of sports teams use.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's add more tan to it, maybe make the hat itself black with a red bill. I think the way to fix this is add more tan or add black somewhere, and I'm not sure where.
I guess we're gonna stick that at like middle of B.
Yeah, I think
sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, so I had them in my C tier only because it's just kind of a traditional hat, right? Like it's a Dodgers hat, it's a good hat, but it doesn't change the fact that it's just kind of a bleh Dodgers hat. So I think it goes in my C tier for me. Like I like it. I would wear it, but it's just kind of meh for me.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Justin?
Jake, you said everything that I was thinking. The only thing that I wouldn't say of that is that I would wear the hat. But no, I mean it's a Dodgers hat. Dodgers hats are going to look good because they're a historic team, and the name brand behind them.
I would agree with C tier. It's just kind of meh. I always wish the Dodgers would put red somewhere on anything, because they have the red numbers on their jerseys.
Yeah.
I would like maybe if the button was red or I don't know. It just needs more than blue and white, I think. Like it's a fine looking hat. I think Dodgers fans probably like it. I personally don't love it. I think C is probably about right.
Also, I just Googled Dodgers red hat, and it is just an all red hat with a white LA, and it is awful.
Well, I don't think the whole thing should be red.
Well, yeah, I agree. I'm trying to find
Maybe
something
some of
that
it
has red in it, and I haven't found that yet. Yeah, it's just it's one of those historic hats. It's just like it's good. It's just as spring training hats go, it's just kind of meh for me.
All right, we're sticking that one in C tier then. Justin, you're up.
All right, so this is one of the three I have in delete this. So, to me, I love the idea, similar to the Braves or the Brewers, where they're trying to make their orange pop with that old city jersey G for the Giants. So I like the idea. But I don't think this is a good enough hat at all. So I think delete it. It doesn't pop. What could change this to an A tier hat is keep the logo the same, change the background or change the outline logo to a white, and then have that orange color as the cap. It's way too much black and gray going on with the orange not being able to make it pop and stand out. So I have this under delete this.
So that's where I had it as well. I had it in delete this, maybe for a different reason than you did. Though it annoys me that they have the City G logo, and then in the bottom, I guess, right-hand side, if you're wearing the hat, they put the
They
SF.
have
It just
exactly.
looks so weird, and I don't understand it. I don't hate the G logo. It would be like it'd be a middle C, early D hat for me if it was just the G. But the fact that they put the SF there in the bottom corner, I don't know why. It looks so out of place.
That is almost exactly what I had. I said delete this. This is my burn it. This is my version of the Cardinals hat for you, Jake. This is my burn it, send it to the bottom of the ocean, let it die hat because of that stupid SF thing in the corner. Like, I hate that. Like, if you wanted it on there, make it the logo. Without the SF, it's maybe a C tier. With the SF, it looks terrible, in my opinion.
I never even realized the SF because I'd always been looking at the small little picture here. And now that I look at it closely, I see the SF. I thought it was just an orange dot to make something stand out. And I'm like, all right, that orange dot and the orange around the G are completely different oranges. But no, the fact that there's an SF there, yeah, delete it even more.
I want an all orange Giants hat.
Yeah, I think
the
they
City
should.
Connect jersey, right? Giants.
City Connect hat. Yeah. Ooh. Wow. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that version of it. But yeah, it was all orange.
It
Yeah,
was not good. It also
yeah, I
had like
mean,
a bridge on the side.
yeah, no,
It was-
they don't need to go full City Connect for this. If they just took my idea, San Francisco Giants, I'm ready to hire. Take the orange of that SF logo orange, make that the entire hat. Scrap the SF, keep the G, even though I'm not a huge fan of it, and keep it black, but a white border outline around the G. I think that's like a B or A tier hat.
right. I guess that that means that's the worst one, right? Well, that's the worst one so far, I guess.
So far, yeah.
I think that's
I still cannot. It is marginally better than the Cardinals hat for me, but it's still in the delete this tier.
close race to the bottom.
Realistically, I'm putting them both on the container ship out to sea.
Okay, so I'm up here with the Cleveland Guardians, and this hat just doesn't do it for me. It was an opportunity for Cleveland to kind of get their new brand out there. They could have gone with like the weird, logo that they made in Microsoft Paint in like 10 minutes as an emergency thing because they clearly didn't have anything prepared. They could have thrown that on there. They could have made the hat red. They could have flipped like any of the colors. Instead, we got this. Like, it's just such a disaster. Man, this is like delete this, but it's not because it's like bad. It's because it's just such a letdown of like things that they could have done.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jake.
I honestly, I don't know how this slipped my mind. I forgot that they rebranded to the Guardians when I was making this list. So call me a terrible human being, mainly because I am. But yeah, I agree. I think you had a chance to have something Guardian themed on it. When I wasn't thinking of that, it was just in my C tier list because it's just another one of those meh hats. This was one of their regular season hats. You could convince me of that. And so for that, it was like C tier for me. But now that I think, oh, you could have done something with the Guardians, like it's in the D tier for me.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you. But this is one of the other ones in my delete this category. We'll differ in saying I actually like the idea they tried to go down, but it just wasn't executed very well. You're not going to be able to recognize who the team is. And then plus it's a huge letdown on what they could have done. So this is a delete this hat, throw it in the bin, scrap it, make something new. I'm fine if you go something Guardian themed, but I like the idea of the hat, just very, very terribly executed, and I think you've hurt your fan base, and you're losing more of a fan base if you even still had one.
Jeez. I think it's like
absolutely
better.
slam the organization. Jesus.
I think it's better than the Cardinals and Giants, to be fair. It is probably the 28th best hat. All right, Justin, or no, Jake, I guess. You're up with the Toronto Blue Jays.
All right. Let's see. Where did I have this? I had this in my A tier. I kind of floated between A and B, honestly. I don't know. I kind of just like the Blue Jays logo in general. The only thing I wish they would have done to it, and this is probably where I would have put in my B tier had I put more thought process into this and not been multitasking while I was doing it, is it needs some red somewhere. Like, I don't hate the blue and white. Like, it looks kind of sick, but I almost wish, like, maybe the eye and the maple leaf were red. Thinking about it, talking through it, it's probably more of a B tier hat for me. Like, it's not terrible. I do like it. I just wish it maybe had some more red in it.
So for me, this is a D tier hat. I love the logo. I've always been a fan of the Blue Jays logo, but it's a D tier hat for the fact of if you used your bright red Canadian flag color instead of white, this hat would have been the best of any of these hats. This is a hat that I think everything is perfect, but the white is missing, or they need to just scrap the white. Needs to be red. So this is a D tier because it is a disappointment. So D for disappointment.
I had this as a C tier because it's C for kind of passable.
Yeah, that's how you spell that.
I'm great at Wordle, dude. I think the hat is fine, and if they had just changed the leaf in the logo to be red, maybe, I think it would have been better. Because I don't mind the blue and white logo. It does need some red, like Jake said. I don't know that it needs to be completely red. I had that as like C, I think.
Yeah. So 1B, 1B, 1D, 1C. So I think it could fall into C tier.
Yeah.
All right, Justin, you're up with the Seattle Mariners.
All right. So the Seattle Mariners. All right. So I love how the teal and white pops on this hat. But it's not enough to make it the best for me. I really love this hat. Even though I'm not a fan of the Mariners, I would buy this hat. But it is a solid A tier for me.
I think it's top of B for me. I don't think it's like one of the best, but among the group, it's pretty good.
So for me, before I realized I needed to have one best, it was in my list of best hats, just because I'm a sucker for teal.
Yes.
Like, I love teal. Hell, my senior year of high school, I played on a purple and yellow team and rocked teal cleats all year. So
this is true.
yeah, Josh can confirm this. That might actually discredit my ranking here, showing that I'm just a style icon. But so for me, it's in my A tier. Like, I like the logo, and I like that it's teal and white, and I think it looks good on the dark. I assume this is like a dark navy. So it's in my A tier for sure.
Yeah. The only thing that I would change about this hat, just thinking about it, I love the logo, so I really don't want to change the logo. I think it's a great logo to use for a spring training hat, and I have the same kind of opinion when we get to the Tampa Bay Rays. But the one thing that I think could have pushed this over what I have as the best hat is if they would have did that whole kind of T-shirt design where they where you see the X and then it has like the 3 or 4 letters of the city. I think if they would have used that kind of idea with the logo and had the SEA or something like that in that, I think it could be different enough to put it as my best. But then again, they would have to execute that very well. But again, just like Jake, I'm a sucker for teal. If anybody knows me and has seen my personal brand, I've got a fluoro yellow as my brand color. So I'm a sucker for those kind of bright colors. But it's a solid logo, solid hat. It was going to be my best, but there's one that popped off a little more. So for me, it's top of A tier, but we can put it in A or B, and it doesn't hurt my feelings.
I'll stick
Side.
I think the only thing I would change is make the brim teal and maybe the button on top teal, and then I think it might be the best.
I was just gonna say, side note, Justin, that color of yellow sounds like something you made up and trademarked to sell to people.
So like the color of Gatorade, like that controversial color.
No, so if you want to see the official color, just look up the Braun GP F1 car and that kind of greenish yellow on that car.
Braun GP what?
Braun
Formula One car.
GP.
It's a 2009 Formula One car. That's where I got the idea for the color.
Ah.
Dude, I can't. How do
Like-
you spell that?
BRAWN?
Yeah, BRAWN
Ah.
GP F1.
Yeah, see, my Lord and Savior LeBron is in my mind too much, so I spelled it as BRON.
It's not like that's
Okay.
like gouge your eyes out green.
That's like
it's not
bright.
bad as like an accent, I guess.
That's like popping a nightclub green right there.
Yeah, it's that. So the fluoro yellow and black are my brand colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
I respect
But
that.
yeah, it's in my A tier for sure. I like teal. So
Okay, I'm up with the Marlins. I actually love this hat. I think it is not the best for me because I think there's like one or two maybe better. But this is top of A tier for me. I think the black and like the baby blue really pops. I think even the patch on the side works really well with this hat, which it doesn't maybe for some of the other ones. Shout out the Padres. I think it's a really solid, clean hat.
yeah, about that. It's in my C and D tier. So I like the color of the logo. Like I like those types of colors. That kind of goes back to my teal love. So I like that teal, the yellows. Like I like it. I just don't like just the Marlin logo. I almost wish that it was the interlocking Marlin M logo that they have. Like if it's that logo, I think it moves up my list, but it's in my C for sure. Just because it looks like, to go back to your comment of Cleveland, they slapped something together in Microsoft Paint in 5 minutes and put it on a hat.
I would agree with you, Josh, in terms of I love this hat. It's modern enough and sleek enough, and it does pop with that bright blue. But I do have some suggestions for Miami to make it pop even more. So first off, I'll give my rating. I think this is a bottom of A tier hat for me. The black on the Marlin kind of does bring the blue down a little bit, but then again, I'm looking at a smaller version of the logo, an actual hat. The blue may be popping as bright as the Seattle teal. If that's the case, then it's definitely an A tier hat. But I'm putting it bottom of A tier. But I will say every other team in Miami has embraced the Miami Vice colors. They obviously have as well in their rebrand. So why not go with a Miami Vice type look? How about a blue hat with the same Marlin logo in that Vice pink? Can't go wrong there. Since it's a Miami Vice type vibe, it's different from what they've had because they've even gone different with their City Connect uniform. So just something to as food for thought.
So we want to stick this like in B, maybe feels like a good like middle of B.
Yeah, middle of B.
Yeah, that works.
We'll say it's better than Arizona and worse than Oakland, I guess. So Jake, you're up here with your favorite team, the New York Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's in my C tier just because it is, once again, yeah, I'm pretty sure they would rock this as a regular season hat. I'm pretty sure they already have. It's a good hat, right? The logo's good, the colors are good. It's kind of like an LA hat. It's just a meh hat for me. So that's kind of why it's in C.
Yeah, for me, it's a C tier hat. It's just a New York Mets hat. Can't wait to see my my buddy and pal Justin Courtney starting down in Double A with the Bennington Rumble Ponies. Hopefully, see him wear this hat in spring training. But no, I mean it's a C tier hat for me.
Did they rebrand to the Rumble Ponies?
Yes, their double A is the Bennington Rumble Ponies.
Oh my
it's been
god!
That for a while, hasn't it?
I don't.
Yeah, it's
think
been
so.
been like that. No, yeah, it has. It's been that way for at least 2 or 3 years.
Well, Josh, you can talk about this. I am. Oh, it's Birmingham. No, Binghamton.
Binghamton, yes.
Okay, cool. Josh, you can talk about this hat. I'm going to go on Google.
It's this hat. My favorite hat that I own, actually, I'll hold it here for the video, is a Mets hat, and it's the one with Mr. Met on it running. I think this was a spring training hat or a batting practice hat at a minimum.
It was a batting practice hat.
That's the top tier Mets hat for me. Not for regular season, because I just don't think it works. It's too minor leaguey, but for spring training, I think it would have worked. There needs to be more orange for it to be a Mets hat, in my opinion. There's even the lining on the outside of the Mets, the NY logo. I don't know. It needs some more color somewhere. It needs an orange brim, or maybe the front needs to be orange, or the button or something. It just needs some more orange. It feels like a very generic blue hat.
Yeah, I completely agree. To me, this does scream the Mets road hat that they wear.
Yeah. I'll stick
to that. Looks exactly like it.
I think that's a little bit worse than the Dodgers one, as far as
the Dodgers is better. Back to the name, they changed in 2016. The finalists for the new names were Bullheads, Gobblers, Rocking Horses, Rumble Ponies, my personal favorite, Stud Muffins, and Timber Jockeys. Honestly, Timber Jockeys is kind of sick.
You mean to tell me
Timber Jockeys
go with the Stud Muffins?
Yeah,
I would love to see that logo.
They held it's because they held a name the team contest on the website. So I'm honestly surprised they weren't the Binghamton McMets or something.
Yeah. That's kind of funny. Justin, you're up with Jake's actual favorite team, the Washington Nationals.
Okay, so you know how we've talked about the red on red and how we kind of hate it. I put them in kind of D tier, C tier kind of hats. I think this is the exception, but I do think it could be a lot better if they just made one change. So for me, this is a B tier hat, but a bottom of B tier because of the red on red. But if you make that Washington W, that is actually surprisingly not the Walgreens W, if you make that W white, this is a definite A tier hat. But the fact that it's all red, it pushes it down to a B tier hat. Nothing really pops for me, but I do like the stars and I do like the Capitol building behind the logo. So love the idea of the hat. Just the W needs to be white, and that would be an A tier hat. So it's a B tier hat for me.
I'd just like to put this on record that we just got a diehard Braves fan to put a Nationals hat in the B tier.
Wait till we get to the Phillies. That'll pain me.
But yeah, there's obviously bias to it. It's my team, but I put them in B tier with what Justin said is there needs to be white somewhere. Maybe making the outline of the W white and the stars white. I personally liked this rebrand where, they still have the curly W, and I like the curly W, but I like the block W as well. Because now I don't get people in Texas unironically asking me why I'm wearing the Walgreens logo. I also get people unironically congratulating me on the Braves winning the World Series when I wear an Alabama sweatshirt. So, It could be a lot better. Like I like the logo, I like the design. There just needs to be white somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'll say I mean, it could be a white outline, but I think it would pop even better if just the W was white. And keep the blue stars, keep the kind of lighter red Washington Capital um, behind it in that kind of different kind of red. I think if it's the W is white, it's amazing.
Yep.
I would agree. I almost think I wonder what it would look like. Probably look like piss, but I wonder what it would look like if the Capitol building was white and you left the W red. It would probably look awful.
Yeah, I think it would look pretty. I think with the white, yeah, I don't know. I think it would look pretty bad, but also I haven't seen it, so never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I had this at like middle of B. So
Yeah,
I guess
I had
it's
it in B as
going
well.
middle of B. I'm up with the Orioles. So it feels like this time around they tried to go with a lot of like two-toned looks, like very similar to if y'all watch hockey, the Oilers like navy blue and orange alternate only has two colors. And they try to do that for like all of the hats. And for some teams that works better than others. I think this works really well for Baltimore. I think the black and the orange like complement, or the orange really pops off the black, I guess I should say. Kind of like the Oriole wearing a hat logo. I don't even know what that's properly called, but I like the logo on the hat. I had this at the very top of B, very bottom of A.
Yeah, so I had it in my B as well. I agree. This is one of the few that gets away. You know, that's what is it? It's them and the Giants. I think that can get away with orange. I think those are the only two that officially have orange, and they just did a better job of making the orange pop. So I had it in my B. The only thing I would say is kind of similar to my thing with the Giants is I almost want to see what an all orange hat looks like for them. But regardless, it's still a pretty good hat. Like if I didn't care what logo, like if I didn't have a team affiliation, like I would pick up the hat and wear it.
Yeah, I would agree. The orange pops on the black background. But I do think the orange outline does do the Orioles logo a little bit of a disservice because the more I look at it, the more I look like, or the more I feel like I'm looking at a horror movie with that Oriole smile. But it's a B tier hat for me. It is hatception in terms of the Oriole wearing a hat on a hat. So I'm fine with the way they've gone, but it's very sleek, very modern, just like the Miami Marlins one. So I would say this is maybe right behind Miami in the B tier because of how creepy the smile is on the Oriole logo.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it in B, and they didn't try to stick a random B or an O in the bottom of the hat for shits and giggles.
That's very true. You've got the San Diego Padres.
All right. So I had them in my bottom of my A tier. I like the dark brown and yellow combo they've got going on. So it's a good logo. Like I like interlocking letters, and I love it when it is kind of a traditional hat, so that would put it like bottom B, top C for me. But I like the colorway. But what Josh was saying earlier, and I've noticed on a lot of these hats, like the spring training patch is just an eyesore on this side.
It's bad, dude.
Like this is one of the ones that it's just like on black hats, it somehow gets away with it. On the brown, it's just not getting away with it. But it's a like A B for me, just because it gets knocked for being traditional, but I like it as a colorway.
I had this as D. I do not like brown hats. It's the color of poop, and then it's highlighted by like dehydrated urine color. And for some reason, that is the only two things I can think of while I look at this hat.
So to you, this is the bathroom hat.
This is, yeah. So like the Rams jerseys, where like their numbers on the home jerseys look like a urine chart. This is that, but for San Diego.
Yeah. I'm more in agreement of Jake here, but I will say I do, even though I love the fact that they went back to the kind of traditional brown and yellow. I'm going to knock it for being a traditional hat. So I would put this in A tier, but it falls to B tier for me. But then it falls into C tier for me just because of the unfortunate circumstance of the spring training logo. It is an eyesore on the hat. I do have a soft spot for San Diego. If I had to choose two teams to be fans of in Major League Baseball, it'd be Braves, number one by far anybody. But San Diego was number two before they got Tatis and became everybody's kind of secret favorite.
Or like that brown or that light tan that they have, like I'm a sucker for it. But then I secretly hate them because everybody started cranking the Padres lately. So I can't get behind that for moral reasons. But yeah, I don't know. It's a B tier hat for me, in my opinion. So I could put it in B or C if we're averaging out rankings.
Yeah.
With the Philadelphia, it's good. Like, I feel like they've done this hat like 100 times, right? Am I crazy? Maybe it's just the blue
Yeah.
brim.
No, they have.
No, they've done it a lot.
Yeah, this is the hat for their kind of throwback cream logo.
Yeah.
Like, I like it. It is a good hat. It just, they've done it a lot. I would say it's like an A tier hat on its own, but it's just been done so much. So I could be talked into lower. But it's like, it's still a pretty good hat, in my opinion.
So here's my Braves opinion on the Phillies. I absolutely hate them. I hate them more than the Nationals. And so I really hate the Phillies. But I have always been a fan of this hat on the cream uniforms that they have. I think it's a perfect hat for them. If the Phillies rebranded away from the white and red pinstripes, they need to go with that cream hat with this, or cream uniform with this hat. So I don't care that it's been done a lot. This is an A tier hat for me, regardless. I love this hat.
Yeah. So as a Nationals fans, like I'm legally obligated to hate the Phillies, regardless of the fact that we got Jason Worth from him, and he was one of our top guys, and he'll be in the Ring of Honor for the Nationals if he isn't already. I'm pretty sure. But it's a good hat. Like I can't hate the hat. It's just it's been done a lot, and it's a traditional hat, so it's top of C, bottom of B for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good hat, right? It's just like they've done it a ton. Maybe it's a little different. I'm sure Phillies fans are like, actually, the piping is 1 millimeter thinner on this one, so it's much different. And I don't know why that's my Philadelphia accent, but it is, so you have to deal with it.
Say it while eating a cheesesteak and you'll be good.
Yeah. All right, so that was me. So Jake, you're up with the Pirates.
It's in my C tier just because it's just a black hat with the P logo on it. So it's just kind of a their hat for me. I like the yellow on it; it kind of pops, but it's just a their hat for me.
Other than like maybe going with a different logo on the hat, I think this is probably about as good as they could have done. But yeah, it's still like C maybe.
Yeah. For me, I put this in D tier, but I put it in D tier because it's very similar, or it gives me kind of similar vibes with the Cleveland hat. To me, maybe it's just the picture I'm looking at, but the yellow doesn't pop as much as the yellow pops on other Pirates hats they have. But I do feel they did the best that they possibly could do, given their color scheme and what all they've done before. So yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, why not? Why not go with a yellow hat? I understand a yellow hat may not look good as a trucker hat, but no other team's going yellow. Why not go yellow?
I wonder how much of that was like the team's choice and how much of that was New Era's choice.
True.
Justin, you're up with the Texas Rangers.
Okay, so my girlfriend is not holding a gun to my head at all, but I think this is the best hat of the lot.
Oh, really?
Yes, I actually think this is the best hat of the lot. This was the number one best hat for me. And it's for the exact same reasons why I wanted to put the Houston Astros hat up there, or even Seattle's. I think the orangey red color that they used popped perfectly off the navy blue hat. And it's modern, it's sleek. I think it's really good for a spring training hat. I do have one Rangers t-shirt, or one Rangers long sleeve shirt. That's the logo that is on the shirt. To me, this pops a lot. This gives me the Edmonton Oilers kind of orangey, poppy vibes from the navy blue and orange jerseys for them in the NHL. I love it. So this is the best hat for me.
So I've been in Texas for a while. Don't really have any real allegiance to the Rangers, although I think at this point in time, I do somehow own more Rangers shirts than National shirts. I'm not sure how that's possible, but people keep giving them to me. But with that being said, it's a good hat. I like it. It's in my A tier.
I think one of the reasons it pops better than the Braves one maybe is it's like a lighter blue. Just eyeballing it, it's like not quite as deep of a blue. I go back and forth on this because when I first saw it, I saw it in like a spring training video with lighter throwing, and I thought it looked awful. I've warmed up to it a little bit. I think that logo is fine for spring training. Like as a spring training hat, it's pretty good, but it needs to like remain a spring training or batting practice or just like a t-shirt logo, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But as like a spring training hat, I can get behind it being like top of B tier, maybe bottom of A tier. All right, Tampa Bay. I think this one's me, is my favorite hat. I think this is the best hat of the lot. I think the Rays like logo, it's simple, but I think it works. I think the gold really pops off of the navy blue. I think even the grapefruit patch there on the side works. I think it's really simple, and we've bashed hats today or tonight, I guess, for being too simple. But I think this one's simple in a way that it like works.
Yeah, this was definitely in my this was in like my top 4 or 5 when I was ranking like the best. I like the blue and yellow. I like I was saying earlier, like I like the yellows, the teals, the greens, the blues, those type of colors. And so I really like that logo. If we exclude the fact that it looks like Spider-Man had a little too much fun on the hat. But like I think it's a simple logo. It works. And if you told me this is a baseball hat, like I think I would be able to figure out what team it was, like having a good knowledge of baseball. And like it's the only hat in this batch that the side patch works well with. So like it's in the top of my A tier for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. Whenever I didn't know that we only had to have one for the best, this was one of the 4 that I had in the best. Obviously fell because I put the Rangers as my number 1 best. But for reference, I did have Seattle, Atlanta, the Rangers, and Tampa as my top 4 in the best category. So Tampa fell down to top 2 of A.
All right. So it just got bit once again by just being a traditional meh hat for me. So it's in that C tier for me. I like the hat. It looks good. I like the fact that I think the blue of the B is a different shade than the blue of the hat. And I like the red outline, and I like the Red Sox as like it's one of the AL teams that I do like, but it's a pretty meh hat for me. So it's in my C tier just because it's a good hat. It's just not a good spring training hat.
I don't think it's better than their regular season hat either, like their normal hat. Yeah, I think it's C.
Reds. For me, this is very, very similar to the Angels vibes, where I was kind of like, okay, the red on red, the logo doesn't necessarily pop because it blends in. But then again, I look at that Cincinnati C and I see how the black makes the logo at least stand out. But the Angels logo does very similar. But I've got to put this right where I put the Angels, in that C D tier. maybe bottom of C, high D. I think if the logo is all black, it works really well. Or if the logo's all white with a black outline, it would work really well. Um, I'm just not a big fan of the same red on the red hat.
Yeah, it was in my list of, and for the same reason, it was on my delete this list just because the red on red is just it's pretty bad for me. I just of the red on reds, like it's one of the better red on reds, but just I think that's just because the fact the C logo is carrying it. Like the C is a good logo.
Next up is the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies, I think the Rockies just as a whole need a rebrand. They need to get away from like the black and silver and whatever that they have and add some more purple. And this hat just like furthers that belief for me. I think there needs to be more purple on it somewhere. I don't know if the whole hat needs to be purple, but like the purple on black is just really, really difficult to see in my opinion. So I think this is a D tier hat for me. It just from afar it kind of looks like a black hat.
I was a massive fan of their spring training hat maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where they went with the old kind of Colorado Rockies red,
Yeah.
yellow, and blue, like the Colorado flag type style. I really loved that hat. I think if they went with those vibes, they would be one of the better hats out there.
I think this might be the one where we've disagreed the most. Because originally I had this like as my top of A tier
Really?
like hats, mainly because I do like the logo itself. I think as a whole the hat needs to do something else. But I like the concept of the logo. Um, it's just like the fact that like they have the trail of the ball is black there, which you probably can't see from the small picture. But I just went and found like a list of with bigger pictures when I was ranking these.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the reason why I put it in B or D tier, excuse me, is because you can't see anything. If the hat was different, if you use a much like fluorescent purple, if that makes any sense, I think this
Yeah,
would be a really nice hat. It would be similar to the Orioles hat for me. I love the idea of the hat, uh, even though I do think they need a rebrand as a franchise, but no, the fact that you can't see it and everything blends in, it's a D tier hat. There's some teams like if any of you watching follow uh, Premier League or Bundesliga soccer, my favorite team in over in Europe is FC Cologne in Germany, and this year they've got a black on black kit where the jersey sponsors all blacked out, but it's in this kind of metallic black. So when light shines on it on the black jersey, it pops. I think that works, but with this hat, it doesn't give me that vibe, and it's just like okay, black hat with a blue patch. Oh wait, when you squint enough, you see purple. So
Also, I just want to side note here. I do think that Josh has a big Bundesliga audience. I
Oh
think that's who
yeah.
exclusively watches his videos.
I have, by the way, if you've made it an hour into this video, shout out the one person that watched in the last week from Taiwan. Uh, that's a statistic I can find. That has to be an error, but yeah, if you're from Taiwan, maybe comment something Taiwanese. Uh, I guess we're sticking that at like top of C, or maybe middle of C as like a compromise.
Middle of C is fine. So this was my B hat. Like it was in a B tier hat for me. I like their shield logo.
Yeah.
I think they've probably used this on a regular season hat. That being said, I just like this hat in general. Like I like royal blue hats. And also I have allegiance to them now because Nationals legend Michael A. Taylor is their center fielder now. Shout out his cannon of an arm and only being able to hit in the postseason. But it's a pretty good hat for me. Like it's just in my middle B tier.
I like this hat. I think if they had gone like gold at the top like they have in the past, it would make it better. But I'd feel okay about B, like top of B.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I like the hat, but this is where I think the traditional, even though I like the Shield logo, I think this is where you downgrade it a little bit. So for me, this is just a meh hat. It's top of C because I like the Shield logo.
Also, I went and looked up that Rockies logo you guys were talking about for spring training hats. I totally forgot they did that, and I'm kind of in on that.
That's what like,
Yeah,
they need to switch to a that logo full time
Yeah.
or that
Also,
color scheme full time.
that color scheme, but they need to stick with the sleeveless jerseys, the vests.
They need no undershirt.
Yeah, shout out Derek Dietrich,
yes, Derek Dietrich.
Marlins legend. That man pimped the shit out of a homer against Max Scherzer down like 7 runs and almost fought him on the base pass.
Well, so did my buddy Danny Camarena. So
Derek Dietrich will only be remembered as a Texas Ranger. I'll have both of you know. The Tigers. Jake, I believe this one's you.
Yeah, it's just a meh hat. It's just their logo.
Yeah.
Right? I'm pretty sure this is carbon copy. They took their regular season hat and put it in a trucker style. So yeah, it's just meh for me.
Well, I would disagree with both of you, and I have this as a D tier hat. It doesn't pop. It's meh. It's just eh. It doesn't make me want to throw up, but it doesn't make me want to go buy the hat either. It's a D tier hat for me. The Tigers are one of those teams that occasionally have orange too. I think orange could have saved this hat if you go the Detroit Tigers traditional logo in orange, or you use that kind of orangey throwback D that they have occasionally. So I think there's some ways to make this better, but again, similar to the Pirates, the Detroit Tigers have a look. They're going to stick to it, and there's not really much that they can do unless they rebrand the entire team, which I don't think they ever will. So it's just a really, really, really meh hat for me. So D tier.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the fact that they could have thrown orange in there. I think that makes them like the third team. So with that, it knocks it down because, well, you could have thrown orange on it. And honestly, I would have liked if they would have just put the tiger head on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. For like a spring training hat, I think that would have been fine.
Yeah, I would have liked that a lot more. So with the fact that they didn't do orange, like it's getting knocked down for me.
I think top of D. I think it's better than the Angels and the Reds. I don't think it's better than the Jays. So that means Justin, you're up with the Twins.
So do I need to say the same thing twice or just give a grade? Because I think the exact same thing. I think the exact same thing for the Minnesota Twins. My dad's from Minnesota, family from Minnesota, like the Twins, but it gets lost in how the colors don't pop on the hat. So it's a D tier hat for me.
For me, it's basically the same thing I just said about the Tigers, where it's late B tier, or late C tier. My bad.
I think it's better than the Tigers simply because it's not just navy blue and white.
Yeah.
But it's not much better than the Tigers. So maybe bottom of C.
Yeah, bottom of C is good with me.
So I'm up here with the White Sox. Cannot decide if I love this hat or kind of hate it. So I guess it's going in the middle of C tier to me because that feels like that's kind of the middle. I quite like the logo that they went with. The S with the like O and X between the little like horseshoes, I guess you'd call that. I think that looks kind of cool. It's just like a black and white hat, which like that's their entire brand except for that jersey that Chris Sale cut up. But yeah, I think it's just kind of a meh hat for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. It gives me the same vibes as the last two teams of the Tigers and Twins. But I love the logo. So I love the logo, hate how it doesn't pop, but then again, all it is black and white. So C tier hat.
like I didn't like the fact that it's just black and white, but that is kind of their sole thing, except for when they just randomly throw in red, and you're like, well, that's kind of cool, but it makes no sense for your team, so why are you doing it?
Right.
But I really like the logo on it. So that's what elevates it above all those other hats. So that's kind of what saves it from being just a black and white hat. So I had it as like top B, bottom A.
Okay.
For me, just solely based on the logo alone. So I would say it's somewhere in B, realistically, for me.
And then, Jake, you're closing us out here with the New York Yankees.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do. They're the Yankees. They have policies against these things. So it's just a meh hat for me, right? It's the classic Yankees. It'll always be the Yankees. I don't think they'll do anything. It's still Steinbrenner's like actually dead somewhere. And somebody has put him in a lead-lined casket so he can't come back and haunt us. So until that happens, I don't think they're going to get away from these hats. I still stand by that Brett Gardner's going to have one hell of a tan after spring training from this hat. So it's just a C-tier hat for me.
I think this is exactly with the Tigers. I would rank this identically with the Tigers. So I think it's like top of D, maybe bottom of C.
I completely agree. I put it right where the Tigers go, but I did elevate it because I feel like the Yankees logo allows for more of a white outline, so it pops a little more. So I did put this in a C tier, but it's the same thought process as the Dodgers or as the Pirates or the Tigers or Twins. Like it's just a meh hat. So I put it C, right on par of where I put LA.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll stick it right behind LA. All right, and that's it. Oh, we need to pick a best one. So the 4 that we landed on A was Tampa Bay, Seattle, Milwaukee, and Texas.
Tampa, Seattle, Milwaukee, and Texas.
Those are the 4, that we wound up with in A.
Oof. So of those 4 for me, the 2 that I would have to decide between for best are probably Seattle and Milwaukee.
For me, it would be Seattle or Texas. So that's technically 2 votes for Seattle.
Yeah.
For me, it is Milwaukee or Tampa. So that's 2 for Milwaukee,
Milwaukee
and 2 for
and 2 for
Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's pick one between Seattle and Milwaukee.
Oh God. I'm gonna have to think about that for a minute. So somebody else say something.
I'll take the Brewers hat, I think. Just first glance.
I like Seattle because the colors pop a little more than Milwaukee.
Okay.
But I do love the Milwaukee logo.
The patch on the Seattle hat does actually go with the Seattle hat, though.
Yeah. I think that's what takes it over the top for me.
So if we're gonna ignore the patch for a minute on this side, first glance, and as much as this pains me, I think I'm taking the Brewers. But I don't know. It's super tough for me. I really like both of them, and I like the teal, but I also like what the Brewers are doing with their logo.
Yeah. I think Seattle is a more complete hat because the logo or the spring training logo goes perfectly with it.
Yeah, I would agree.
And the logo is a little bit bigger, a little more recognizable, even though I love both logos. So just because it's a little bigger and it's a more complete hat, Seattle's my vote.
All right, so Seattle then, I guess, is our best hat. Who's the worst hat? We have the
Cardinals,
the Cardinals, and the Guardians.
It's the Cardinals. It's got it. It's launch that to the moon.
We said Cardinals, Giants, and
Guardians are all in delete. None of them are moving up, but which
Giants.
ones are we sending to Africa?
Giants are being sent to Africa. Get rid of the SF logo. Completely rebrand that hat. Redo it. Throw it in the bin. San Francisco's my vote for worst hat.
That's
Guardians are let down, and I liked the logo a little more than y'all did on the St. Louis hat. I just think it needed to be a navy blue.
The Cardinals hat is bad. It's so bad, right? But the SF on the side of the Giants hat is unforgivable.
Yeah.
So that's why that's the worst one for sure.
Yeah, I honestly I'm strapping them both to the rocket that's going to the moon. But if I could delete one harder, it's got to be the Cardinals.
You're like
I will.
hard
I will.
pressing the delete.
Yes, like I am just mashing the delete button as we speak. Like I want to meet the person who designed that hat and sit down with them for an hour and pick their brain and see what is wrong with them.
Hey, if you're the one who made this hat, comment below and reach
Yeah,
out to us. We'll have
let
you on the
us
next.
know.
Yes, I would personally like to have a one-on-one sit down with you to see where your head is at.
Welcome to the podcast. I want to know what they rejected over
That's
that.
true.
Because there had to be other ideas.
Yeah, I just give St. Louis credit for trying to do something different. They're usually one of those traditional teams that never do anything different than the St. Louis block letter interlocking letters. So I'll give it to them.
I'll give them that. Like I've basically pooped on teams all night about the lack of trying to do something. So they tried to do something. It was just very bad. So they've at least got that going for them, you know. They tried. Give them a participation award.
It is give them their 5-year-old soccer player that just played so they could get Fruit Loops. What's an after soccer snack people give? Pop-Tarts?
Sure. It's been a while since I played soccer.
Yeah, let's go Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, and that's gonna do it for the video, guys. That was an hour and a half recording that, so that's hopefully gonna be like 20 minutes when I edit it. No, it's gonna be like an hour.
Oh my.
Yeah, but like and subscribe if you made it this far. Comment the word, or I guess the words Cardinals anus. Because that's what we're gonna end this video looking.
I think that's getting you demonetized.
I'm not even
Yes.
monetized, so it doesn't matter.